Dad was kind of a military
GPS signal lost.
Great fellow Democrat. We had some interesting conversations in our household around our table. But here's the thing that always we were centered around, the values. And here's what they were. Everyone is important. Our allegiance should be to Michigan, before any donor or any party for that matter. And the best public servants always stay true to their values and seek to work with anyone who wants to solve a problem. I did my darndest to live up to all those values the 14 years I was in the legislature, 6 years in the House and 8 years in the Senate. When our kids' education was on the line, I fought like hell, a governor in my own party. When women's health care was on the line and women weren't being listened to even in a committee hearing, I told my story as a survivor in hopes of getting our story to be a part of the debate that was happening. When the Republicans went after working people time and time again, I was one of the first people fighting back. But I also know that when Governor Snyder embraced the Affordable Care Act, that I needed to partner with him. Because I knew there was no way on God's green earth, with his Republican legislature, he was ever going to get it passed. So I rolled up my sleeves and I negotiated with him and put the votes together, and we got the bill signed into law, and 680,000 Michiganders have health care coverage today. As I get around our state, I've been traveling aggressively. I jumped in this race last January. It's been 15 months as a full-time candidate for governor, and I have been getting across our state. I put on tens of thousands of miles on my car and replaced 2 windshields, by the way. And I've been to 61 out of the 83 counties, and I'm getting into every one of them before the end of next month. I think I'm going to 6 more this next weekend. But this is why. Everyone is important. We've got to show up like we've never shown up before. Because when you do, it keeps us laser focused on what's really going on in Michigan households, what the fears and concerns are of Michigan families. From Gogebic County on the western end of the UP to Groseal to standing right here in Oak Park, the issues are the same. Michigan families want to know that our kids are getting the education to prepare them for life. We want roads and water that keep our families safe. And every one of us deserves a real path to a high-wage skill so we can get into better paying jobs and take care of our families. And you know what? That's not too much to ask. Do you agree? All right. So how do we do it? Well, first we win this election, and then we go to work. Universal early childhood education. Every child in Michigan should be ready to learn by the time they go to kindergarten. Literacy. Right now, Michigan ranks 48th in literacy. Literacy. We're not teaching our kids to read. And guess what? Up until 3rd grade, you learn to read. After 3rd grade, you read to learn. So if you're not a reader, your whole life trajectory changes. It falls. We can fix that, but it takes money, it takes support, and it takes great educators in the classroom. So that's number 3. Appreciating people that dedicate their lives to education and encouraging others to go into it. That means no more tax on their pay and benefits. It means actually paying teachers well enough that they can take care of their families and make a career out of education. Because I know no one goes into education because they think it's going to be lucrative. It's a calling. It's the backbone of our economy and our state, and the thing that levels the playing field for children in this state. And one of the most important things we can do is make sure that our kids have got great educators and counselors and social workers and nurses and dietitians and the supports around our kids to make sure that everyone's literate by the time they leave 3rd grade. This governor closes schools that don't meet those metrics. We're going to support schools.
GPS signal lost.
And I would just say simply, a major step forward would be electing a governor who's not beholden to the DeVos family. Going on to paths to high-wage skills. You know, right now, we've had such a focus on four-year degrees that we've neglected to make sure that kids know about paths into other careers where you can make really good livings. Whether it's the skilled trades or a two-year degree, these are honorable paths that pay you well enough that you can get ahead and make a really good living here in Michigan. This hyper-focus on four-year degrees has been coupled with a lack of investment in higher education. And so, while we told everyone they should get a four-year degree, we've made it darn near impossible for anyone to afford to get that degree. We've got to open up paths for everyone in every walk. We used to think of careers as a ladder where there's just one way up. That's the wrong way to think about it. It's about rock climbing and making sure that people have the support to find their path. Because a four-year degree is not for everybody, but we should make it accessible for those whose path that is. So I'm proposing a two-year talent investment where you can have a debt-free community college degree and use that same type of investment toward the cost of a four-year degree. And at the same time, to make sure that we've got career navigators in our high school and opportunities to get certificates in high school that lead toward the skilled trades. Because I can tell you, when I was in high school, I took home repair. How many of you took industrial arts when you were in high school? All right, a few of you. I took home repair. I learned how to change the oil in my car, and when my mom's light switch stopped working in her den, I rewired her den. Most kids don't have those opportunities in schools today, and so it's hard to even fathom that you might make $80,000 a year as a plumber in Michigan, in any community in Michigan. That could be a fulfilling, great line of work for kids, but you gotta know that it even exists in order to pursue that. And then finally, I think the other dinner table issue that I hear from people all across our state is, it is time to fix the damn roads. Right? I put an infrastructure plan out a couple of weeks ago, and it is a real plan. None of this phony baloney stuff that the Republicans have been telling us that they raise a little bit of gas tax and we're going to miraculously fix the roads. When I unveiled my plan, I was standing there with the mayor of Southfield next to me, and he said, this newest investment from the Republicans in Lansing gave him $500,000 in Southfield. You know what that gets you? 1 lane, 1 mile of concrete. That's it. So that's not going to fix the problem. We need to get serious about fixing the problem. Our roads are downright dangerous for our families, and it's holding us back from pulling in more economic investment into Michigan. We are going to finally fix those damn roads. My word. So I want to talk more in depth, but I want to make sure that I stay focused on the things that I know that you are interested in. But I'll just stop talking by telling you this. I'm working 15-hour days. I'm putting miles on the car and engaging with people every single day. I start my day drinking coffee at 5 a.m. and fall back into bed around 11 p.m. the next night, do the same thing the next day. But every single day, there is a person or a story or something that happens that reminds me what this is all about. And a couple of weeks ago, I was at the Detroit Children's Hospital reading. March was reading month. It was at the end of the month. And they asked me to come in and read with a couple of kids. I'm reading a book with these kids, 5 years old and 11, both boys. And after we were done reading, the 5-year-old's mom said, all right, Malachi, she's running for governor. What do you think she should work on, honey? And he looked at her and he didn't know what the heck governor meant. So she said, she might be the boss of Michigan. What should she work on? And this 5-year-old looked up at me and he said, I think every kid should be able to read. I mean, we can clap for that, but think about it. How many 5-year-olds lobby for literacy? They usually want more recess or a little more candy, right? But this kid's lobbying for literacy, and I don't think it's because he saw Betsy DeVos on 60 Minutes. But maybe. The other child decides to participate, and he says, I think everyone should have clean drinking water. And then his mom said, tell her where you're from, Corey. And Corey said, I'm from Flint. All right? He said, there was his mommy and his grandma. And I said, okay, moms, what do you want me to work on? And they both said, same time, I just want you to fix the damn roads. Now, it's funny, but it's an absolutely true story. So I asked the one mom from Flint a little bit more. I said, tell me, why you're so passionate about the roads. She said, well, you know, I was driving down to see my son in the hospital, and she had a pothole, and it absolutely destroyed the rim on her car. It sidelined her for a whole day. She had to come up with $800, which she did not have. She could not put it on a credit card. She didn't have the money in her bank account. She missed seeing her sick son in the hospital, and as soon as it was fixed, had to turn around and go home to take care of the other 3 boys of hers. These are real issues that are holding Michigan families back. That's what this election is about. It is not just a day in November. This is about our lives. It is time for us to start setting the agenda again. It is time for us to make Michigan the place that people come to for opportunity, where Michiganders have great schools, clean water, job opportunities that can support families. That's what this is about. So I thank you for your rapt attention tonight, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much. I'll just give you a minute break. And I'd like to say something myself about education. My dad had a 3rd grade education, so he wasn't a superintendent of anything except us. But one thing he did as superintendent of us is made very sure that we went to school every day. We have a kind of a division in thinking between the 2 parties that is not helpful. One party says it's all individual responsibility. The other party tends to say it's all about public investment. I believe totally in public investment. We've got to raise the level of investment so that every kid has a Bloomfield level of support for his or her classroom. When I went to school, yes, my parents sent me there every day for 12 years, never missed a day, and none of my friends missed a day. I never knew of this thing of not going to school when it was a school day. You got your snow days, but that's another thing. But then when I was finishing, we had a thing called the Illinois State Scholarship Commission. This came at a good time for me because my dad had a couple of years of poor health and he wasn't working in the factory. I took the test, scored high, and then there was the means test. The state of Illinois gave me free tuition at any college or university in the state. I went to a private liberal arts college for 4 years, finished without $1 of debt. I did wash, bus tables and mop floors, but I was able to go out for sports and major in a subject that didn't have a quick payoff. I majored in history, social science, philosophy, that kind of thing, but that gave me a start. Now I go to, I live in a state where we're importing people from other countries that invest in education because we don't have the professionals here to do jobs. But I do want to just end with, please lead on everything that you said, but let the Republicans know that we appreciate anybody who leads on the individual responsibility thing in getting their kids to school every day. We have horrible school attendance rates. I've seen attendance figures as low as 56% for 9th graders. We can't allow that to continue. That is part of the problem. We need to have people working on that while we're working on the infrastructure issues. Okay, questions? There's a lot of them here. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's start back there. Yep.
Hi, thanks so much for coming. And I just wanted to, so I was in a meeting last night talking about incarcerated childbirth, and your name came up as someone who is really good on issues of prison reform, which I was so happy to hear, a big supporter. And I just wanted to hear, but I don't know a ton about where you stand on that issue or what sort of things you want to do. And we have roughly 20 women who are pregnant behind bars at Huron Valley right now, and this is just, I'm really excited about the Planned Parenthood endorsement, and that's awesome, and this is something I want in more dialogue about women's health. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Okay, well, thank you for the question. I must confess that it's not something that I get asked very often, and so I'm grateful that you're raising it. You know, as one of the things that I had the opportunity to do as a prosecutor was to see a different side of our criminal justice system, and it's given me a greater appreciation for how unjust the system is, right? How we have a lot of work to do. When I was prosecutor, I had the opportunity to either hire another prosecutor or to double our diversion effort, meaning to keep nonviolent offenders from going into the system in the first place. You know, to work with them, help them oversee, and then make sure that they don't have a record so they continue to make, so that one mistake that they made doesn't haunt them for the rest of their lives. I think that's a piece from my background that is important for you to know, because I believe we have a lot of work to do in criminal justice reform in this state. And you know, you're raising a particular issue with regard to women who are pregnant in prison, and my confession is that I don't know where we need to fix the law, but I do know this, that we need to keep women with their children whenever possible. Whenever safe to do, and that's something that I come to it with as where my heart and my mind naturally goes, but beyond that, I feel like maybe you could educate me a bit and tell me what you think we need to do as a state. I'm a politician who recognizes I don't know everything about everything, but I'm eager to learn, and so if you want to take a minute and tell all of us, you know, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, just working on things like anti-shackling. Women are shackled in transport to give birth, and then immediately after delivering their child, things like that. Allowing them to breastfeed when their child visits, things like that. So there's, you know, there are policy changes that we could be making.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Help me write it.
Okay. Cool.
Excellent.
And I've been working with a number of prisoners as well. And my opinion.
GPS signal lost.
We've gone crazy on long sentences. Other countries don't do that. Shorter sentences, and then take some of that money and invest it in the prisoner, in education, in the prison, so that they come out capable of leading their family. They're going to work this side.